Hello, welcome to the Art of Living Well podcast. It's Marnie and Stephanie here. And for those of you not on YouTube, we highly encourage you to get on over there so you can be with us up close and personal, because today we're together recording this episode.
And it's so fun.
So fun. And we're sitting on a comfy couch. And I really like this new format for us when we're doing our solo episodes.
We saw this on, what was that show called?
Oh, it's like my favorite show. Nobody Wants This.
With
Kristen Bell. Yes. I love it. I can't wait for season 2 to come out.
And they were recording their podcast in person on a couch. And we're like, we should do this more often when it's just us. So
we kind of forgot after the pandemic that we could actually go back to doing this. And we don't live that far away from each other.
No. Even though sometimes 10, 15 minutes feels far away. It's actually not that far away.
No.
Anyway, so today we're going to talk about glyphosate, right?
Yes.
And like why it's important and what it is and like why it's important to know your levels even.
Right. And, we've talked about glyphosate a number of times on the podcast. We've had regenerative farmers on the podcast. We had Dr. Zach Bush on the podcast, but we haven't done a deep dive. And then somewhat recently, in the fall, Marnie and I were at Cabral's conference, which we've talked about also.
Mm-hmm.
And he has now, through his business, EcoLife, a new at-home lab test, which is a glyphosate test. So we picked it up when we were in Florida. We were in Orlando, and we both did it. And we thought, why not share the results and offer it to you guys? Because you can easily order this through us, and we can get the results and talk through it. And it's a very simple test. So, and we'll get into more of that later.
And I was just going to say, I was like really nervous taking this test because I have heard so much about glyphosate and I just didn't want to be full of it in my body. So we'll talk about our results later. And
I also didn't want to be like all this, diligence around eating a certain way and nourishing our bodies
and detoxing
and have that, sort of all backfire would have been kind of demoralizing or something.
And the thing I really like about testing is like, you can't argue with test, right?
It's like, a blood test or it's a urine test or whatever it is, but it's coming from you.
The test. So Anyway, what is glyphosate, right? Like glyphosate is a herbicide. And it is used in agriculture and it's used in gardening. You may have heard of Roundup. Hopefully I can say that on air. And it is sprayed on so many of our products and foods that we eat every day. And even if you think about, going out on walks outside on the grass, and if you're not spraying it on your lawn, your neighbors may be, and your dog is, walking through all these yards, sniffing and going to the bathroom. So we really need to think about what we're putting in our bodies, what we're walking on, what we're doing to our earth.
I mean, it's a chemical that wasn't even introduced until the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And just as I think about like, why is this important and why do we care? I mean, we all know that chronic disease and cancer, like those cases have escalated over the last few decades. And my gut says that there must be some correlation to a chemical that is being widespread at this point, sprayed on most crops. And if you're a farmer, you live somewhere in the country and people are farming, even though you're not, that's coming over to where you live and the air that you breathe.
And as people are getting tested, it is showing up in urine, it's showing up in breast milk, it's showing up in saliva. So it is penetrating our bodies.
It's not just leaving.
Right.
It's not something that like in 24 hours of consuming it, it's gone. No. And the point is to be able to have herbicide resistant crops so that we can grow more without having crops die because of, weeds and bugs and other things. Except that it's also depleting the soil. So we talk a lot with the regenerative farmers about how even when we're buying organic, sadly, the soils are so depleted of nutrients because of the way the monocropping and the other agricultural methods, right? And so this is also killing the soil. So lack of nutrients, and then it's impacting our gut microbiome.
Right. And glyphosate just destroys your gut microbiome, and that can lead to so many issues. And also, like, Europe has it right. I don't know why in the US we struggle with this, but in Europe, they allow 5 times less the amount that's considered safe than what the US uses. And if you go and you see like what the different agencies are saying, like the EPA, says that it may be safe, while the IARC, which stands for the International Agency for Research for Cancer, says most likely it's not safe.
And it's a carcinogenic. That's what they're saying. It's a probable carcinogenic. I don't know about you, but if something is a probable carcinogenic, I would like to stay as far away from it as possible.
Not only do they say it's a probable carcinogenic, but also that it can cause what's it called? Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which I don't want to get that. And nobody wants to get that, right?
Right.
And it makes me think of all the dogs that are getting lymphoma these days. And are they picking it up just in the neighborhoods and in the walking around in different grasses and stuff? So it's a lot to think about. And we don't want to bombard you, with all these things you need to be afraid of, but definitely something I think we all need to be aware of.
Yeah. And you may say how does it impact our gut, or what are you seeing? Well, we have those tight junctions in our gut to keep it healthy, and it loosens those tight junctions so that foreign particles and foods that we're eating get into our bloodstream. And we all know, with autoimmune disease, which, I think every other person you talk to, someone's getting an autoimmune condition. And at young ages, we're seeing really young ages, and other chronic illnesses, and just skin issues. How many people have eczema, little kids, and itching their skin all the time, and other allergies, and the number of peanut allergies that are, and this has all been the last 30, 40 years, right?
Right. And they're also saying that this can cause hormone disruption. And we all hear all the talk about the hormones today, and even fertility issues, and how women are struggling with fertility. Why is this? Why are people, it's not rare anymore. It's becoming more and more common. And why is that?
You know what? I'm just remembering another episode. I think there was another one with the guy who wrote the book Ordinary Soil.
Yes.
And that's a powerful book.
Alex
Woodard. And he tells this story. It's almost like historical fiction, sort of. He called it faction, I think. Part fiction, part faction.
Part historic, part history, part fiction. Whatever it was.
I don't know.
I think it was faction.
Yeah, part factual and part
fiction.
That's right. Anyway, we'll link it up in the show notes because it's a powerful book and a story. And it really focuses on exactly what we're talking about with the impact of farming practices and glyphosate on our food system and people's health.
And our health. And this is a big problem. This is not a small pinpointed issue. I feel like this is an issue where first there needs to be awareness, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone is talking about this. And then we need sweeping changes.
Yes. There needs to be governmental regulation.
From what we do in our own homes to, like you said, government regulation to the farming practices. It's a big issue to tackle.
It is. And it can feel overwhelming, and you're, someone out there, maybe you're a parent and you've got a lot of people to feed in your house, and, what can you do? Right. So we know it comes into our bodies, and it's also in the water.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have filtered water, and I know we've talked about that on other podcast episodes, but this is something else to consider, is making sure that the water you drink and the water that you use to cook with is also filtered and glyphosate is being removed from it. So what can you do?
Well,
it seems overwhelming.
First of all, you can test, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can give yourself a test and see where your levels are at. It's a simple urine test.
Yep. Simple urine test.
So literally you pee in a cup and you send it in.
Yeah. And it's really easy. All the label and mailing, everything is done for you.
And we can walk you through that. And, Stephanie and I both recently took the test this fall.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I was nervous because I had no idea what my results were going to be. And my results, I believe it was a while ago since I looked at the test, but I believe it's green, yellow, red.
Yes.
Green is you're great. Yellow is you're kind of in that mid-range. And red is make some serious changes.
Yeah.
So I was in the green, and I was on the high end of the green, and I was thrilled. I was so excited about that. And then I was thinking, okay, well, if I'm in the green, my husband Jordan is probably in the green because he's eating most of the foods we're doing here. He's doing most of the detoxes. He's drinking our water. So what we're doing at home is working. We stopped using Roundup and all of that stuff on our lawn.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, which was very hard for me because the dandelions were out of control and had to find alternative ways to deal with that. But what about your test?
So mine was also in the green. I can't remember. It was somewhere in the mid. It wasn't in the high end, but it was solidly in the green. So felt good about that. And I've wondered, my oldest son who's away at college, should I have him test? Because I'm just kind of curious.
Yep.
And, but I, like you, I feel the people that are in my house, the family that are living with me right now, they should be pretty good.
And I think we should test our sons and report back because Zach is also living on his own in Chicago. And I promise you that he's drinking the tap water. And I don't know if he's buying organic food because I'm not sure I want to know the answer.
Right. I know for sure at colleges, they are not providing organic food to those students.
And he has the facts, but I don't know how he's using the facts.
Right.
So it would be interesting to test. Stephanie and I did go back to our naturopath that, we've studied under and asked the question, is this common to have green? Are you seeing more people, with in the red and in the yellow? And they are seeing that. Yep. So,
but the good thing is they are seeing when people make changes and then retest that they're seeing a reduction. And this is testing your cumulative exposure, what's in your body, not just what you've been exposed to in the last week or anything when you do the test.
And it's also great to note that our liver detox, or what we're calling now our Vitality Reboot, actually makes a difference in this. It actually can remove the toxins in your body while you are detoxing. And that's why we do this. A lot of people think it's for weight loss. Weight loss is a side benefit if you need to lose weight. But really, we are doing these liver detoxes to detox our livers because we are bombarded with all these chemicals every day from just walking through life in the air and everywhere.
We both like to travel. We both like to eat out. I mean, I think both of us are very similar in that we probably eat 85+% of our food at home. But when I go out, I don't want to be freakishly worried about where the food comes from because I know I'm doing other things. One, I know what I can control in my own home. And then I don't worry about what I'm eating or where the sourcing is necessarily for those couple of meals a week that I may eat out because we're doing all these other things.
Right.
And maybe we can talk a little bit about that too. But even just the food. So our biggest exposure, where do you think the biggest exposure that most people have with glyphosate? We talked about the grass and the air and the other things, but is it just the food that we're eating primarily?
Yeah.
So what can you do? What are we doing? Maybe we should share what we're doing and how we prioritize.
I mean, for me, I'm buying organic, which is huge, right? There's the EWG, Environmental Working Group, list of the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. The Dirty Dozen are the 12 fruits or vegetables that you absolutely should buy organic because they have so much spray on them. And the Clean 15 are the ones where you don't necessarily need to buy organic because they're coming out pretty toxin free.
Right.
And so I look at that list and it gets updated every year and things change on that list every year. And I primarily buy everything organic except for a few items just because I do. I want to support organic farming. But I think that makes a huge difference to start.
I do too. And let's just be clear though, when we started out on this journey, each of us individually, I was probably buying organic milk and a few things organic for my kids when they were really little, right? And that was my focus. And maybe it was berries because I knew that. So this has evolved for 10 plus years for us. So if you are out there and you're I don't buy anything organic or I only buy organic milk or whatever, where should you start? Go to the list Marnie mentioned and just pick what you are consuming the most of. If your kids love apples and apples are usually on the Dirty Dozen list, then make sure that you're buying organic apples. Go to Costco, Trader Joe's, lots of stores now sell organic. I mean, even Walmart, we don't really have a Walmart near us, but we go to Target a lot. Those stores sell organic fruits and vegetables. So start there with what you are consuming the most and that your kids are consuming the most. But utilizing those resources and supporting EWG, I think is really helpful because they're doing a lot of great work to make sure that we all have safe food and drinking water and products.
And even supporting your local farmers and talking to your farmers and asking them, if you're going to farmers markets, what they're doing to keep your food safe. And some farmers may not. I've asked farmers before, and they cannot tell me what they're doing because they are spraying the foods. So like it's good to have those conversations and get the questions going so that you are aware of what you're eating.
Because a lot of times too, even on the flip side, some of the local farmers won't have spent the money because it is expensive to get the USDA organic certification, but they will tell you that they don't use any chemical.
Right.
I've also had like someone I remember asking about corn. And he was like, you have to spray. You have to spray on the corn. I'm like, well, you don't, because I do buy organic corn. That's when so.
But corn is heavily sprayed. It's funny because we were talking about corn at dinner last night. And I was saying, I remember I went through a period of like 2 or 3 years where I ate no corn because I thought I had learned that it was so bad for you because of all the chemicals. And then the last 2 summers, I eat it sparingly. Hopefully, I'm buying corn because it's really good.
Right.
Fresh,
and you have it like a couple of times a year.
So tasty.
Right.
But you do need to know where your corn is being sourced because that is a heavily sprayed food.
Well, I mean, so corn and soy are two that if it's not organic, it is, I would say, almost 100% guaranteed that it's sprayed. And that it's genetically modified and it will be sprayed with chemicals, with glyphosate. But the other thing that I thought was interesting too is the beans and legumes and the rice. So think about hummus, which I love hummus, and all the dips that are made with, but a lot of them, and I remember even like several years ago stopping to buy that one brand because it had like soybean oil and canola oil in it. But really look at the label of hummus. Don't assume that hummus is a health food. Buy organic and make sure that there's no seed oils in there. And we talked about seed oils recently, but make sure that they're using likely olive oil or make your own. It's not actually that hard to do, but I get convenience. So watch the beans and legumes and the rice and make sure that those products, because those are things you eat in bulk sometimes. Right. Too. You're not just eating like one, a couple grapes, but you're eating like a whole plate of rice and beans maybe.
And I have to say, I'm guilty of not really looking into those products as much in terms of what's in them. And so, again, I tested and I feel pretty good about it. Yeah. So maybe I'm doing something right.
No, but there was something about chickpeas and hummus, like within the last year.
Yep.
And they tested a ton. And even the stuff that's organic still ends up having like a little bit. Of residue on it.
And honestly, like there's probably residue in 95% of our foods these days, like, which is really sad. But then what are you doing to clear it out of your body?
Exactly. So that you don't have to worry about it and it doesn't become like a anxiety driven event about what you're eating.
And I would also just say, when it comes to springtime and lawn care and garden care, really take notice of what you're putting in your own yard and dig in a little bit. Talk to your, garden stores. And, if you have a lawn person or if you're the lawn person, just do your research and see what you can do to minimize your glyphosate footprint.
Yep, exactly. And think about like if you have animals that are out there on your grass.
Which I think about a lot. Just having a dog. And if you have grass that is sprayed with Roundup and you have a dog and your dog's outside and then your dog comes in the house, guess what? The bottom of their feet are coming into your home and they're tracking that stuff into your home.
Yeah.
So something to think about.
Right. So what else? What can we do? We talked a little bit about what we do to detoxify. We talked about our liver detox, which is huge. And the reason why we love this too is because there are formulated, like very proprietary formulated supplements that you're taking that help bind and get rid of the toxins and get through like phase 1 and phase 2 of your liver. So that's really important for us. And that's why we love the program so much.
We love it and we hate it.
We love it and we hate it. And And right now I'm finishing up week 2. So
when the detox comes around, I'm always really ready for it, which tells you something, right? Like I'm like, I need this detox.
Yes.
But then, the beginning of the detox, I'm kind of like, did I really want to do this?
Yeah.
But then by the end of the detox, I'm like, I feel great. I'm ready to like conquer the world. So it's funny to see kind of the hills and valleys of what the detox experience is like.
So we highly encourage you to do that. I think it'll be mid-April, sometime in April when our next detox will come out. So stay tuned for that and follow us. You'll get the updates. But you can also eat like liver supporting foods, like cruciferous vegetables really help, right? So that's Brussels sprouts and broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage, and eating like citrus and turmeric. There's different foods that will help support that detoxification and get those pathways active so you can excrete any toxins that you have. When we talked about the food, just washing your produce, and even some produce that is organic, if you're not like sure about it or the quality, you can put a produce spray on it, washing it as well.
So do you do that?
I do it occasionally. Certainly if something is not organic and it comes in the house, I will. But there are times that I do spray. And I just have a spray bottle that's water. And then the Branch Basics, which remember we interviewed Kelly, the co-founder, many, many years ago. You just put a little bit of that Branch Basics in.
Like the cleaning stuff?
Yeah. It's a concentrate.
Right.
And it's a very little bit with a bottle of water, and shake it up, and I will spray that just for like a couple minutes, have it sit, and then rinse it.
So I never spray my food.
I would say I rarely do it.
And sometimes I wonder if that's a gimmick, and please reach out if you think I'm crazy saying that. But I do, I'm buying organic, so I feel like I'm safe that way. But don't they also say it's good to get a little like dirt and grime into your microbiome? And I always think about that I wash my vegetables with water and my fruits, but I'm not like scrubbing them. And I've seen people use like those bubblers and different things. And I don't know, like the jury's out. I just don't know. I don't have enough information. I feel like I'd rather put my time and energy into meal prep then, because what does that take? An extra 10 minutes to sit and like soak all your fruits and vegetables? And are you taking anything out of them? So these are questions I have. Yeah. I don't know.
This is my opinion. So when I have a CSA, Community Supportive Agriculture, and I do that most months out of the year. I have a fall, winter one, and then the summer and early fall. So I want that dirt. I know that is local dirt. I know that is an organic farm and they have really good farming practices. So I don't peel my carrots. I don't peel I will eat like the peels of beets sometimes. So I want that because that's helping my microbiome, because I know it's a nutrient-rich, diverse soil that those food is grown.
Yes.
But if I'm buying something, and I prefer not to buy foods that are in plastic. In the last couple of years, I've really tried to avoid buying things, but I get it. If you're at Trader Joe's or somewhere like that, maybe you buy something that's wrapped in plastic. That would be, even if it's organic, a time where I would want to spray, because then I'm like, it's sitting there, it's wrapped in plastic. Yeah, I know it's organic, but I don't know.
I feel like everything I buy is wrapped in plastic. Like 90% of the foods from the grocery store is wrapped in some sort of plastic.
Produce? Yeah. I really try to buy things that are not. So I have produce bags that I bring to the store, and I probably have 6 or 7 of those every time that I'm buying celery not wrapped in plastic, carrots not wrapped in plastic. There's bulk mushrooms I'll buy. Like, I am really trying to avoid buying things.
That's awesome. And I have those bags and I rarely
And I love the bags. Like, we'll link those up because they're these simple produce bags. Then they don't need to take the plastic bag, which is just going into our oceans and the water and everything else. So,
well, and one thing I do though, is when I get home from the grocery store, I take everything out of the plastic and I try and put it in mason jars or in different things. Yeah. So it's like, no matter how you do it, there's some work involved.
Right.
And we use the plastic bags as doggy poop bags. So at least they're like not going to total waste.
Yeah, right.
Anyway.
You do the best you can. Pick one thing today that resonates with you and make one change, right?
And reach out to us. Like, we would love to hear your feedback, your questions, comments, your experience with glyphosate.
I mean, the other thing too, just backing up, is there are other supplements that you can take. There's binders that help. And I, for other health reasons, have been taking a binder religiously every morning, because you have to take it away from food and away from supplements, or at least take it away from good food that you want.
Which I struggle with. It's like you almost have to get up in the night.
No, first thing in the morning. Literally, it's sitting there.
Next to your bed?
No, in my bathroom. And it's the first thing. I have a glass of water always on my nightstand or in my bathroom, and I take it right away. The other thing I like is if I'm going to be sweating, I like taking it before I'm going to sauna. So if I know I'm going to go to a workout where I'm going to sweat more, then I'm taking the binder and it's going to help.
Yeah.
Like it's good to do that right before you sweat because you're removing toxins. So that's what I do. So I've been taking that binder all the time. And even I've noticed like sometimes I'll take it if I'm going to go out and have like a bigger meal and some drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it can help maybe make you feel a little better. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, and also we both take energy bits, spirulina and algae. It's spirulina and chlorella. And the chlorella, which is the recovery bit for the evening time, is supposedly pulling out toxins from your body as well. And I actually, whether or not this is okay, I think it is though.
Yeah.
I have stopped taking my fish oil supplement because I am taking the energy bits and the recovery bits so religiously every single day. I think it's been almost 2 years now. And my omega levels are the highest they've ever been.
Okay, that's
and
amazing.
I stopped taking the fish oil. And I think it's because I'm eating algae every single day.
Well, she said that. Catherine, so we've interviewed.
I don't know if I even told you that.
You did tell me.
But it's so cool to see again really on the test. Because my omega levels were not in a great zone when I started on my journey. And even when I retested after taking fish oil, they still weren't where I wanted them to be. And now they're in a good spot.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fish oil supplement fan anyway, with the way it makes me feel. So it's working all around.
Which is amazing. And we'll link up Catherine's episode because we interviewed the founder of Energy Bits twice now. The other thing I do that I like is the Ion Gut Support. Mm-hmm. And it's Intelligence of Nature is the company. Zach Bush is the founder of it. And it's actually dirt. Like it literally is like, that's where they source it. I mean, it's a clear liquid and it doesn't taste like much. It has a very, very faint taste. But all my kids, well, my 2 boys take it religiously and so do I. So my son at college gets a subscription of it and he takes it. He noticed it helped with his skin.
That's amazing.
Because it's helping your gut. I mean, he like takes it on his own. And my younger son too.
Does he just
he does
spray it in?
Yeah. We have a little pump and we all just do this. And then I try to like put it in my daughter's water bottle when I'm filling it up. If I like purposely help her to fill it up. So then I can put a few pumps in that. And it's just very easy to take. It's helping to create a good microbiome without needing probiotics. So Zach has like a different philosophy about probiotics. And so instead of like giving yourself the same probiotics all the time, you're creating a microbiome and environment that the good bacteria can flourish and survive. Mm-hmm. So that's another way. And just like donate to EWG. We talked about EWG earlier. It's a nonprofit. So important. And they're doing so much good work for us, for everyone. Even if it's just $5, see if you can donate, support the local farmers. Like Marnie said earlier, go to farmers markets whenever you can.
Engage in conversations. Just
want to talk
this. Even with your friends, like just to keep this topic relevant and on people's minds.
Yeah.
Because it's important. And we really do want to see change for our kids and their kids and our earth.
Right.
Like it's all connected.
Yeah. Yes.
So if you guys want to test, please reach out to us. We would love to walk you through it, guide you, help you understand your results. And again, talk to you about, maybe we're just saying, congratulations, you're in the green, great job. Or if you're in the yellow or in the red, we can talk to you about some of these things in more depth than what we talked about today.
Yep. And why test too? Would you rather know and be able to make some change, or not know and wonder? And for some people, they need that metric. They need that number to say, yes, I'm going to make some changes to my life. So,
yeah. And there are studies out there talking about glyphosate. If you Google it, you will see there's a lot of information out there. This isn't some obscure topic.
No, there's a lot of science and a lot of studies.
And a lot of lawsuits, right? There have been a ton of lawsuits around this as well. So, anyway.
All right. Well, this has been fun.
Yes.
I like coming over and being on your couch.
I know it's fun. And you'll probably see us in different places and let us know how you like the new format.
Yeah.
And we will see you soon.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.